All right, let's call to order the Township of Ocean Planning Board regular meeting for October 24th, 2022. Amy, roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice of the requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the notice has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on July 26, 2022. Emergency notice. There is an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. No smoking policy. Board policy, no new cases be started after 10:30 p.m. No new testimony taken after 11 p.m. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean Community Cable Channel 22 on Verizon Fios and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off, and if you need to make a call, please make your call outside the meeting room. Okay, resolution memorializations. Deal 35 Land LLC, Block 33, Lot 19.02, 1603 Highway 35, Ocean, amended site plan approval. Can I get a second?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Cases carried to November 21, 2022. NKN Enterprises Holdings, Inc., Block 209, Lots 6 and 7, 1107 Highway 35, Ocean, and Mento, Block 1701, Lot 8, 107 Adams Avenue, Ocean, and Donald and Linda Hopkins, Block 33.01, Lot 3, 532 Apple Drive, Oakhurst.
What do I want to do?
Okay. What? They withdrew, so their case is not being carried. Okay. Poor Donna and Linda. Okay, so we need to do an action needed. Do I want me to read this, Ron?
Yes. Well, yes.
Okay, so we've been asked to determine if the Ocean Glades Block 1.02, Lot 33.01 properly meets the criteria set forth in the redevelopment law for a redevelopment area designation, and to make recommendation to the town council as to whether the origin study area should be designated as an area in need of redevelopment. Okay.
Stuart.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Weiser. I work for ARH Associates. I'm the Vice President of Planning and Redevelopment for the firm.
Okay.
I'm a licensed professional planner. I also hold the AICP certification. Do you wish me to be sworn?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Mark?
Oh, we.
Mark, come on.
Just
Let's
I'm
go.
swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your full name, please.
Sure. Stuart, Stuart. B as in boy, Weiser, Wiser. Once again, business address is 215 Bellevue Avenue in Hamilton, and that's the offices of ARH Associates. We were commissioned by the governing body to undertake a redevelopment investigation of block 1.02, lot 33.01, on the township's tax maps. And that is what you have on the poster that we have in front of you. These maps are taken from the report that we prepared and delivered, so I don't know that they need to be marked. They're right from that report, just blown up larger so you can see.
That's right. Is the report marked? I guess we should mark the report as.
So we have a report.
There's no A's or B's on this one.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we're gonna mark it as A1, the
Sure.
report?
Hey, well, there's not an applicant though.
Just one.
Just
So
one.
one.
Exhibit 1. There's no designating initials.
It is it's entitled "Report of Findings, Non-Condemnation, Preliminary Redevelopment Investigation, Ocean Glades Study Area, Ocean Township, Monmouth County, New Jersey."
This report right here that we all
That
have?
is exactly the one.
Okay.
Okay, so this property was once the site of the Ocean Glades condominium development, or proposed Ocean Glades condominium development, which did receive approvals in the early 1980s. That developer, once they started developing, started moving dirt around. They found a lot of landfill type material underneath the ground, which has subsequently been determined to have various levels of contamination. Because of that, or as we understand, because of that, the developer abandoned the property. The property sat for a while, and I believe it was in 2016 the township acquired the property through foreclosure. The property consists, as you can sort of see, of a mix of uplands, wetlands, and associated wetlands buffers. Again, the lot is impacted by soils and groundwater contamination. The township, again, is now, or the lot itself is now municipally owned, and the township is looking to market the property for affirmative development. Because of the contamination, and we'll get in there in a second, it was felt that should this lot be declared to be qualified and then declared to be in need of redevelopment, there are a number of tools in the local redevelopment and housing law that would be beneficial for the township in order to clean up the lot and then get it in the hands of a private developer in order to have it go to a productive use. So the redevelopment law requires a multi-step public process before a municipality can exercise the powers of that law. The municipal governing body must direct the planning board to do the investigation we're talking about this evening. That happened in July of 2022 through resolution 21-138. The planning board then accepts the governing body's directive. You did that by board resolution 13 in July of 2022. The planning board posts a map with the clerk in order to lay out these lands and a reason for the process that we're going through. That happened. The board conducts an investigation and holds a public notice on the hearing. We have conducted the investigation on your behalf. Tonight is the public noticed, or the noticed public hearing. Obviously, nobody cares. The planning board makes findings. You as the planning board would make a finding of fact and a recommendation to the governing body as to whether you believe that this property qualifies with any one of the 8 statutory criteria in the redevelopment law for redevelopment area designation. Again, we're hopeful that this will come out of this evening's activities. The governing body reviews your findings and recommendations and acts to declare the area to be in need of redevelopment. It then goes to the DCA for approval, and assuming that approval, a redevelopment plan will subsequently be prepared. Tonight, we're going to present our findings as to the ifs and hows the lot within the study area conforms to the statutory criteria. Again, we're going to go through 8, only 1 is required. We already talked about, Counselor, that this report is in the record now. Great. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible, only hitting the salient marks. I will certainly be able to answer any questions after this, but I know that everybody wants to get through with this and get out. So the area here, the Ocean Glade study area, is 14.56 acres. We said it's block 1.02, lot 33.01. It also includes the Cindy Lane Paper Street, which is right down there. It is mapped, as I just pointed out, but as you could see from the aerial, it is physically in a different position. That's all part of the reasons why we'll get to the fact that we believe the area qualifies to be in need of redevelopment. As we said, the major defining characteristic of the area, aside from the fact that it's vacant, is that it's contaminated. The township has gone through an effort since way back in 1995 to determine the level of contamination. There have been some starts and stops with your with the township's consultants in this matter, but there are concrete findings that this area is contaminated. In your report that you have, it speaks to what those contaminations are. If I were to try to get through and pronounce those all tonight, we'd be here forever because there's a lot of really long words with a lot of consonants running together, and
So right now, the property is still contaminated.
it is contaminated. So far, the township has hired a licensed site remediation professional, what's known as an LSRP, to go through and do the science to determine the levels of contamination and the types of contamination. That I don't want to go through all of their findings because they're not 100% conclusive as to the wheres of the contamination, because the information was old, and given the fact that there are wetlands, we believe it's possible that the contamination may have moved, or at least I should say expanded, not moved. So the township is continuing to go through the process to delineate the contamination, to pinpoint where it is, and then from there get whatever approvals from DEP are necessary to find out what can be developed on the property.
So it says in 1.1.3, due to environmental issues, or in 2016, based upon an erroneous understanding that the environmental issues were resolved, the township foreclosed upon the property. Who thought it was resolved?
I couldn't tell you that. I mean, obviously, somebody at the township level was under the impression that the issues had been resolved, and then moved to acquire, and then made the necessary actions to have the township acquire it. Certainly predated me. That is what I have been told. I don't know the particulars of that.
Okay.
I can just add that I wasn't involved in the acquisition back in 2016, but I do recall the surprise of municipal officials several years later when it was discovered that the property was still contaminated.
Very interesting.
So getting into the meat of our investigation. Once again, there are 8 criteria under which an area may be determined to be in need of redevelopment. They are labeled in the redevelopment law A through H. I'll try to go through these quickly and hit upon what's important. So criteria A is the generality of buildings are substandard, unsafe, unsanitary, dilapidated, or obsolescent, and the criteria moves on, but it all deals with buildings. Here we have a vacant site, so criteria A does not apply. Criteria B speaks to the discontinuance of the use of buildings previously used for commercial, office, manufacturing, industrial purposes. Again, no buildings, doesn't apply. Criteria C, land that is owned by the municipality and unimproved vacant land that has remained so for 10 years prior to the adoption of the resolution that authorized this study. And that by reason of its location, remoteness, lack of means of access, nature of the soil, and other conditions is not likely to be developed through the instrumentality of private capital. So what we have here is as municipally owned land and unimproved vacant land that has remained so for a period of 10 years, this lot satisfies 3 of the threshold prongs for conformance with criteria C. The study area, this lot is in the AR3/PRD zone, which is governed by section 21-20.13 of your ordinance, which says, amongst other things, all front yards must face on a minimum 50-foot wide right-of-way for the required frontage. No building or use will be permitted unless on a lot unless that lot has the above required frontage, and such frontage has been improved in accordance with the minimum municipal standards for half the width. So once again, what we have here, you'll notice on the aerial, is that while there is frontage on Cindy Lane is not an improved right-of-way. So it fails in that requirement under your ordinance. I'm sorry, bear with me. So because of that, lot 33.01, that lot sits landlocked, whose only mapped access is over wooded lands. And while the lot is technically has frontage on approximately 30-foot wide extension of Cindy Lane, which is there, the extension is a paper right-of-way that is undersized by township standards. Without the required frontage, the lot has a lack of means of access to developed portions of the municipality. Further, the presence of the wetlands and the contamination represent a nature of the soil that impacts the developability of this lot. So because of the nature of the soil and the lack of means of access are 2 of the requirements under criteria C of the redevelopment law. So for these reasons, lot 33.01 we believe is not likely to be developed through the instrumentality of private capital. Therefore, criteria C applies. Criteria D speaks to areas with buildings or improvements which are dilapidated, obsolescent, faulty arrangement of design, obsolete layout, and other factors. Again, no buildings, no criteria, no conformance. Criteria E speaks to a lack of proper utilization, which we have, caused by the condition of title and other similar conditions resulting in a stagnant or not fully productive condition of the land. Here, we don't have an issue of title because it's township owned, so criteria E doesn't apply. Criteria F talks to land of 5 contiguous acres, which have been where the improvements have been destroyed, consumed by fire, demolished, or altered by the action of a storm, fire, cyclone, tornado, earthquake, etc., etc. Again, we're here with 5 contiguous acres, but no improvements have been destroyed or altered under that category, under those activities. So F doesn't apply. Criteria G is an area within an urban enterprise zone. We're not in an urban enterprise zone. That doesn't apply. So criteria H says the designation, an area may be determined to be in need of redevelopment if the designation is consistent with smart growth planning principles adopted pursuant to law or regulation. What we have here in this lot is the state plan, the state development and redevelopment plan, classifies this lot in a PA1 or metropolitan planning area. A PA1 planning area has the intention to provide for much of the state's future development, revitalize cities and towns, promote growth in compact forms, stabilize older suburbs, redesign areas of sprawl, and protect the character of existing stable communities. PA1s are by definition a pro-growth designation. So because of this, and because of the location in a PA1, this lot is consistent with smart growth planning principles adopted pursuant to regulation. So again, any one of the 8 criteria are sufficient to trigger a redevelopment area designation. We have, as we just described and is more fully described in our report, criteria C and criteria H, which give us 2. So because of that, based on the entirety of the documentation you have and my feeble attempt to rush through them tonight, we recommend that the board find, and that upon such finding recommend to the Ocean Township Council that the study area exhibits conditions which conform with criteria C and H of the local redevelopment housing law. And we recommend that the planning board find, and upon such finding recommend to the township that the study area be declared to be in need of redevelopment, and that should the board make such a determination, and should council designate the area to be in need of redevelopment, we recommend that the township council authorize the preparation of a redevelopment plan for that area. Less than 20 minutes, Mr. Kirk.
By the way, it was not feeble. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I have to say
18
that.
minutes and 16 seconds.
Okay.
No one was counting that.
Under the requirement.
I would just skip to C and H.
Yeah.
You know, I apologize.
It's okay. It's all right.
I'm certainly here
Next
to
time.
answer any questions. I tried to get through it as quickly as I could. I'm a planner. I don't know how to speak short, so.
I'd make a motion to draft a positive resolution.
Mark, how would we say it?
Resolution,
Worded
I just,
to
what he
have
just
a
said. Recommend to the mayor and council that based upon criteria C and H, the area is in need of redevelopment, and that the mayor and council declare the same and proceed with the study
With a redevelopment. plan.
with a redevelopment plan.
As our council said.
Yes.
Positive, or positive.
I second.
What?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Still have my
Yes.
any cards?
Yes.
Yes.
I moved.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a boy.
He's gonna send me a form of it.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll
Yes, we make a motion to adjourn.
All in
Hey,
favor?
wait a second. We're all in favor, right?
Aye.
Yeah.